Hello everyone, it's Ren here. Welcome to Avignon, my friends. This is where I have been for the last couple of days, taking a little holiday, in fact, with my wife, who is around there. She has, refused to be on the video because she's camera shy. Behind me, what you can see is the Palace of the Popes. See, it's a very impressive structure, and you can even see our friend Jesus here and Mary up there. We are going to visit it basically straight after I recorded this video. But first I wanted to tell you a little bit about Type 4 and INFJs, since I always want to honor my commitment to release in the Sunday video. So, but you will hopefully you'll be able to enjoy a beautiful view, which is not my room, but maybe better than my room. And the ambient sound won't be too distracting, I'm hoping. So before I move on, just a little reminder that if you want to get my new book, The Infinite Soul, it's available now in ebook and paperback. The first link below will lead you straight to it. So this is my new release on the INFJ. This is the sequel to the Ecstatic Soul, and it's all fresh out of the oven, and it looks good. I'm convinced that you will be loving this book. It's focusing on INFJ life in the modern world. It's in some sense more of a practical guide to survival than the Ecstatic Soul, which was more if you like, an analysis of the INFJ mind. The Infinite Soul takes up that analysis, but looks at how it plays out in the world today and how we can reach happiness, meaningfulness, and so on. Now, so to return to the question of Type 4, I've said before in a video that I released not long ago that I thought, just like Type 2, Type 4 is a little bit overrepresented among INFJs, and INFJs who identify as dominant 4s could be something else than 4s. So first of all, let me just start with a qualifier here. That does not mean that if you're not an INFJ 4, assuming that maybe you're not an INFJ 4, that does not mean that Type 4 is not in some way significant in your life. It could be significant as a fix. Always think of your Enneagram in terms of a tri-type. You have a type in terms of your gut, either 8, 9, or 1. You have a type in terms of your head, either 5, 6, or 7, and you have a type in terms of your heart, either 2, 3, or 4. And for anybody, there's a dominance, which is either a dominance of the heart, a dominance of the gut, or a dominance of the head, and fixes that come after. So for example, I always like to refer back to myself. If I type myself as a 614, it means that I'm predominantly a head type, but my gut comes second, my heart comes third. If I type myself as a 641, then it means my heart comes second and my gut comes third. For me, I think that the debate is going to be between 641 and 614. Some people think I'm a 614, some people think I'm a 641, but I think it's become kind of agreed that 6 is my core type and 6 is a head type. Now, consider now that before I started making videos on YouTube, and even after I started making videos on YouTube, I would say from the year 2016 to probably 2018 or 2019, I was generally perceived to be a Type 4. And now nobody would see me as a Type 4. So why is that? Why is it the case that for several years it was not questioned that I was a Type 4, and that was obviously linked to my identifying as Type 4? And why is it the case that now it's admitted that I'm pretty much certainly a Type 6? Now, one of the reasons is that Type 4 has not disappeared from my life. It is still there, but as my fix, right? 641, maybe 614. But you're probably getting at what I'm trying to convey here, is that I think a lot of INFJs who think they are 4s are an other type, and I think that it's likely that they are either 5 or 6. The main difference here is obviously that 4 is a heart type, whereas 5 and 6 are head types. I think that in general, INFJs are in fact more likely to be head types than to be heart types. It's just based, I don't have a particular theory for it. I base it on my observations. I think INFJs tend to be more cerebral than they give themselves credit for, even though their type of cerebral, their brand of cerebral is not the INTP brand, it's not the ENTJ brand. It's a different brand that has as much to do with strong symbolic intuitions as it has to do with, say, deductive logic or other things like that. But nevertheless, there's still a lot that's happening in the head. And the thing about the 4 as well, and an important sense of why I don't think it's that common as a core type, is that type 4 is not very compatible with what I call alienation. If you've read the Ecstatic Soul, and if you read the Infinite Soul, the sequel that's just out, link below, as you know, you'll know that, and if you agree with me, you'll take it for granted that alienation is one of the core experiences of the INFJ personality. This distance from the external world, this feeling alien from the external world. A lot of people think that that's compatible with type 4, but in fact it's much more compatible with type 5 and 6. And I can go into that and into why when I start talking more about type 5 and 6 specifically in relation to INFJs. One reason why it's not compatible with type 4 is because type 4s tend to be very, very confident in their sense of identity. The challenge for the type 4 is not finding their unique identity. A lot of people think that. And if that was the case, then it would be very compatible with INFJs. The challenge for type 4 is not that. The premise of a type 4, a dominant 4, is that their identity, their sense of who they are, is very strong. It's not about how to find it, it's already there. It's how to express it. A type 4 is often going to experience anxiety coming from the fact that the medium of expression of their unique sense of self and sense of identity is difficult to quite locate. So the challenge for the 4 is not finding their identity, it's expressing their identity. In some sense, their identity is so clear to them, so vivid to them, that it's the medium that always seems like it's not quite correct. It's not quite up to the task of expressing the intricacies of that identity. But the problem is that if you experience alienation, you are in some sense so distant from the external world that your sense of identity is not very clear, because in order to have a strong sense of identity, you also need to have a strong sense of where you are in the world. There's no sense of identity apart from belonging in the world, right? It's not true that you can just have this abstract, alienated sense of identity. That's just a misnomer. It's misleading to think that. That's much more akin to the 6. But there's ways in which you can experience that as a type 5 as well. So the type 4 has this very strong sense of identity from the beginning. It's more about how to find a means of expressing it. That's not compatible with alienation, at least at first glance. Of course, it's compatible with 4 in your tri-type, because you could have a sense of alienation and wanting to locate your identity combined with a very strong sense that this identity, once you have located it, will be crucial in your articulation of who you are and what you will be doing from then onwards. So identity is very important to you, but it's not something that you can take for granted. That's why you'd be more likely a 4 or a 5 or a 6, for example, with the 4 fix, than a 4 core for whom the sense of identity is very strong and very well defined and very vivid from the start. Now let me know in the comments what you think, guys, and I will see you on Wednesday. All right, and again, enjoy the view. Love you guys, take care.